We used the new Remington Core-Lokt tipped on an antelope hunt. Hear how it went down with Joel Hodgdon of Remington Ammunition right now. Gun Talk Hunt is brought to you by Tetra Hearing, Benelli, Dominate the Moments, Brownells, serious about firearms since 1939, Silencer Central, Silence Delivered, Remington Ammunition, and Springfield Armory. Hey, welcome in Gun Talk Hunt fans. I am your host, KJ, and today we got a special guest because what we're doing today is we're really talking ammunition. And I know you guys are out there, you're screaming like, where's the ammo? But we found the ammo, and what we're talking about today is Remington's new Core-Lokt tipped. Yes, it's new, it's Core-Lokt tipped, and we've actually got some animals on the ground with it. And here to talk with me about that today is Joel Hodgdon of Remington Ammunition. Joel, how you doing?
Hey, buddy, I'm good to be here, and I'm always good to talk Core-Lokt. So let's do it.
It's good to talk Core-Lokt because, you know, I think what a lot of folks thought was when Remington ammo didn't go anywhere. I think that needs to be said. Remington ammo did not all of a sudden go, well, we're closing the doors.
That's right. Yeah, we took a little nap last fall, KJ, but you know, over the last year, we've really bumped up production and we've hired hundreds and hundreds of people. And I mean, you've been to our factory, man. You've seen us just cranking it out. So it's cool to see the energy back in our plant in Arkansas, all those new workers in the door. And we're making more ammo than ever.
Yeah, when we were in Lone Oak, it was really amazing to me because at some point, inevitably, I get separated from the group. That's just how it happens. And I was actually outside shooting some, and it was during a shift change. So the day crew was leaving, the night crew was coming in, and not a single person I saw entering that building didn't have a smile on their face. And I think there's something to be said from that. And the people who were leaving, man, they had an even bigger smile on their face. They were either going to shoot, looking forward to the next day, but people are happy to be there.
I think so. And, you know, we both grew up hunting, shooting. I'm sure tons of your listeners did too. And that's really our whole factory. I mean, you know, I don't think you take a job at an ammo plant unless you like pulling the trigger and having a little bit of fun with what you're making. And so we got a lot of good old boys and good old gals from middle Arkansas that work with us at our plant. And so it's definitely a passion. You can tell a lot of folks are really excited.
You know, you gave me an idea just right now to sit there and go, wait, if I can't find ammo and I need ammo, let's go work at an ammo plant. Like, I think like anyone out there using their listening ears, or if they're watching this on YouTube or whatever platform you're on, like maybe that's the idea. I mean, I'm sure you guys got some positions opening up all the time because you're producing 24/7.
I mean, shameless plug, please come work for us. If you live anywhere around Central Arkansas, we are hiring. And it's not just, we've got plenty of positions for everybody. I mean, that's operations, finance, accounting, supply chain, you know, out on the floor, making the product every day. Like we've got plenty of good spots. So, you know, come on by and, you know, let HR know I sent you.
You might get a finder's fee. I don't know.
I don't know about that, but you know, I'll go to the range and we'll work something out. So
yeah, that sounds good. But it's funny how we got kind of sidetracked, but we're sitting here and we're talking about Core-Lokt tipped really is kind of our focus today. And I bring up Remington not going anywhere because, you know, typically in tougher times, companies kind of scale back. They kind of watch how the market's going to go. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, now we can start ramping up. Remington didn't do that. Instead, Remington chose to deliver something, which honestly, I thought it was crazy because you're not changing something, but you're adding something to a traditional like presence in all of our range bags, and that's Core-Lokt.
That's right. That's right.
It seems audacious, but Remington does that.
Well, and you know, so when our new parent company walked in the door a year ago, and we wanted to get Remington back on its feet and bring Big Green back. To me, nothing says Remington like Core-Lokt, right? It's the deadliest mushroom in the woods. It's probably put more animals on the ground than any other bullet over the last 80 years, right? Yeah. Especially more whitetails. And, I'm a Kansas guy, right? Deer hunting is like my passion. So that's for me, it was that green, yellow box of Core-Lokt growing up. And so, our management challenged us and said, hey, how do we take Core-Lokt and make it better? And that's what we went off and did. And then I should also, very important caveat here. So we're not stopping making Core-Lokt. We're making millions and millions of rounds of Core-Lokt. You open up the page in our catalog, get on our website, remington.com, and see Core-Lokt. We're making, 25-06 to 300 Wesson or bigger, right? Yep. It's still in Core-Lokt, and we're not going to change that. What we're doing is we're Big Green. We got the capacity. We got the room in the factory. We said, hey, how do we add on something special and bring out a new product and improve Core-Lokt? And I think that's what we did with Core-Lokt Tipped.
Well, I think guys need to understand first what Core-Lokt Tipped is. So I'm going to let you give like a brief rundown, and then I'm going to give you the application, because I just returned from a Western big game hunt, antelope hunting, where we got to utilize in 270 the Core-Lokt Tipped. And I'm going to tell you how that went down, but let's first get an idea of what exactly are we talking about. Core-Lokt Tipped.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think, I'm going to describe it, but again, I'd encourage folks to hop on our website, hop on social media, check out all the cool videos and graphics and illustrations we have with this new bullet and this new family of Core-Lokt. But really what it is, KJ, is we took that traditional Core-Lokt locked bullet, right? Lead jacket, lead core, copper jacket locked together, right? Just like we always have. And we said, hey, how do we make it better? How do we improve the BC? How do we improve the accuracy of the round? How do we make it a little more centric to like your hunt, like a Western hunt? Yeah. So what we did is we put a polymer tip in it, a synthetic tip. And what we've seen is that's about a 20% accuracy improvement versus traditional Core-Lokt. And so, we've still got the classic PSP round nose Core-Lokt, but now we've got this tip version that I think does an awesome job of maintaining that same terminal performance. So it's the same hard hitting Core-Lokt power. It'll lay down your deer, lay down your muley, whatever you want. But now we've added that extra kind of, icing on top of better accuracy, a polymer tip, better BC. And, I think it's really a kind of an all range bullet that, for the first time you can stack Core-Lokt up against a newer bullet, like an AccuBond, an SST, a terminal Ascent. I think now Core-Lokt is finally in that consideration set. So I'd encourage folks to try it out and see what you think compared to the classic stuff. We're really excited about it for sure.
Now, there's a big difference in Western big game hunting. And I think when guys think of Western big game hunting, they think of open range. And that's really what I think you're hitting on really big time. But guys like in Georgia or South Carolina or Louisiana, Tennessee, like those guys aren't taking those further ranging shots. And they don't. And if you look at wind specific to hunts, wind can kill a hunt.
For sure.
We all know that. And in my dealings with it, because I hunt more open plains, kind of like what you did in Kansas, wind's just a killer, especially when it comes to ballistics.
That's right. And, so then to kind of fight that a little bit, you want to give yourself as much grace as possible. And you want to use a bullet that is going to be a little more forgiving, a little more flat shooting, a little more accurate further out. So, I'd tell that guy in Louisiana and Tennessee and Alabama, look, if you're still whacking a deer at 25, 50 yards, Core-Lokt Tipped, go with the classic stuff, right? Go Core-Lokt classic, do what you've always done. We're making plenty of that. I promise you guys, you'll be able to find it. But for the dude that wants to go out to Kansas, Wyoming, Colorado, and you're taking that 100 to 300, 400,
even further than that.
Yeah.
Like these guys, I mean, I've seen some of the distances they're shooting, and right now, I wouldn't do that, just me personally. And I've got a whole rant that I could go off on long range hunting. Yeah. But you've got to make sure your gear's in order. And what I noticed, so one of our antelope was taken at 266 yards. I would probably cushion that with 9 to 10 yards, right around in that range further. Yeah. And then the other one was 105, which that was just a good stock. Like everything worked out on that one. But, the antelope have eyes that are massive. And if you look at them, their eye sockets are huge. There's a reason for that, because they live in open plains. They're looking further, for predators. Oh, cool story. I've got to tell you, I'm going to break in here real quick. So after the shot breaks, after Ryan shoots his was the one that was at like 275, 266, right around that range. Yeah, so shot. I go up on the hill where he had taken the shot, and he's down there cleaning. And all of a sudden I hear what I thought was like a whitetail, like fawn bleat distress call. And I'm like, what in the heck is that? And I look, and at 627 yards, 627, I see a coyote take down an antelope fawn, like a young, and I've never seen anything like this before. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And I'm sitting here watching this. I'm going, oh my gosh, like I get to witness this. Like this is amazing.
Chase, the coyote's coming after the fawn, hops on it. Wow.
Yeah.
Circle of life,
Yeah, it's like a National Geographic like episode I'm watching right in front of me. And and I get back and I'm telling Ryan this story. But before that, like I'm calling him and I'm going, and I find a nice, comfortable rock, and I'm shooting the 270 Core-Lokt tipped.
Yep.
I find a nice rock. And I'm sitting there at 627 yards. And I'm like, I mean, it's a coyote. I would not normally take this shot on an animal.
Sure.
But it's a coyote. Yeah. And he has just killed a fawn. And so I let it hum, and that coyote knew really quick that I was close. Yeah. I missed, but I'm sitting there out of here. Yeah. I'm sitting there talking to Ryan. I'm going, hey, like seriously, there is a coyote taking down an antelope right here in front of me. He's like, well, shoot it. And I'm like, well, I'm trying. Like, give me a second. And so I send it, and the shot that I took, I was 6 inches low. But at 627, I hadn't shot that gun over 400 yards. So I was like, 6 inches low, I'll take it.
Sure. And were you holding over, KJ, or did you kind of dial up to where you wanted to be, or how?
I dialed up to where I thought it was, and I was looking at my ballistics like calculator, and I was like, okay. Nice. And I was like, and I looked at my optic, and I was like, I think these are my come ups, is what it says, and I was just 6 inches low, and I was like, oh man, that would have been awesome. I would have sent that immediately to you, like, dude, 627 yards, tipped is great. And it is. But anyway, back to the antelope story. Sorry. I just had to share my National Geographic moment.
That's David Attenborough narrating, that's the whole nine. That's wild.
That's awesome. So Ryan and I see this antelope from honestly, it was about 500 yards. And so we make a long stalk, get up there, and I kid you not, I sit there and I go, like, we were 75 yards from where we last saw him. And I go, Ryan, left. And all of a sudden, like, he looks right. I'm like, am I off here? Like, he totally did the whole, like, hey, look over here left. And he like swings right. And I'm like, your other right, or your other left. But antelope run away. They run off. And then we crest the hill, and I see him. They were about 250 yards at that point, and he was shooting downhill.
Okay.
Because so now we had the high ground, and they kind of stop way out there. And all of a sudden, from the other state property, I see this antelope running down towards them. And I was like, Ryan, get ready. It's 266.
Yeah.
He's coming. And honestly, like, we never thought about our ballistics at that point. And I think that's something that guys ought to pay attention to right here, is the best gear you can have is the stuff that you don't think about. And the words right out of Ryan's mouth was, I think I'm the first one to shoot an antelope with his Core-Lokt tip, because I was yelling at him.
No pressure.
Shoot. I'm yelling at him. But hey, we're going to jump in here real quick to hear a word from our sponsors. Join me on the other side to hear more about the story. Springfield Armory's Model 2020 Waypoint rifle is bolt action and precision manufactured here right in the United States of America and features premium carbon fiber stock, an enlarged ejection port, and a Trigger Tech trigger, which is nice and crisp to break those shots cleanly. The Springfield Armory Model 2020 Waypoint comes with a .75 MOA accuracy guaranteed. That is impressive. So if you need to know more, go to springfield-armory.com to learn about the Model 2020 Waypoint. The newest trigger from Timney Triggers is a top customer request, a dedicated CZ Model 457 rimfire trigger. The CZ 457 trigger is adjustable for pull weight and over travel, machined using state-of-the-art technology, and features Timney's new sear engagement adjustment lock design for a user-friendly experience. Better experience all around is what we like to see in our triggers. But find out more about the CZ 457 trigger at timneytriggers.com. Lockdown has gone more high-tech than ever, and I think we have seen this over the years in this development of a line that helps you protect your home through Wi-Fi services and just smart technology. But their Logic line of Wi-Fi enabled security products like the Puck Gen 2, the Logic Smart Plug, the Logic Secure Camera, and the Logic Vault Door secure everything from your gun safe, toolbox, or even your home with Lockdown's Logic line. You know what? They've got a special deal going now over at lockdown.com. You enter the code GUNTALK10, all one word, for 10% off site-wide. Get yourself a good deal over at lockdown.com. The new Smith & Wesson M&P 15T2 is a rifle that is optimized with a slew of upgrades and customizations. It's got an M&P pistol grip with interchangeable back straps, just like that M2.0 series. Super slick, real grippy, that helps you hold on in the harshest of climates. And ambi controls, which is so important, especially for those left-handed folks out there. But it's got an ambi charging handle, flat face trigger, and M4E flash suppressor. Find out more about the newest M&P rifle at smith-wesson.com. Okay, we're back. Okay, we've set up. We're on this Antelope. He's coming in fast, really
200 yards, fast. 250 yards, KJ.
Dude, he was coming to us. So he was, at the time that I saw him, he was at probably 400, 450.
Okay.
But he was coming in really fast because I don't think this was the Antelope that we actually saw. This was another one coming off the property that saw the herd running away from us, and he just got suckered into coming right in. And we're talking with Joel Hodgdon of Remington Ammunition, and we're talking about Core-Lokt tipped and the importance of understanding your ballistics and what your bullet is doing downrange. And Ryan, and of course, Joel, you haven't had the pleasure of hunting with me yet. And I really hope we change that. But I will tell you this, if I am kind of by your side or guiding you, all you're going to hear is me yelling in your ear. Are you on him? Are you on him? Are you on him? Okay. It's this range. Like I have a set thing. I'm like, are you on him? Do you see him? This is your range. And then I say, are you on him again? And then if you are, I'm going to tell you, shoot him. And I'm going to yell it a lot.
Ryan mentioned you were a little excited, I think is how he put it. And I'm like, I can picture KJ getting into this.
Yeah. I get jacked up because, I mean, I will tell you right now that out of 7 guys, I was the only one not to tag out.
Ooh.
And I'm okay with that because I got to see 4 first-time antelope hunters take their first antelope, and 2 of those was with Core-Lokt, the Core-Lokt
awesome.
tips. So when you think about it, how cool of a story is that?
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. And, now that we've had Core-Lokt tipped out for about a month, and honestly, we've been shipping it for 3 or 4 months now. So we made all this stuff last summer. We're just now getting it out, getting it to shelf. So it's cool seeing it out there in the wild. I mean, you guys sent me some pictures of your antelope. I got an awesome picture of a Maine bull moose of all things.
Really?
Down with Core-Lokt tip. So, I mean, we went from antelope to bull moose, right? Like the gamut of North American game.
Yeah.
Just
and
down.
If you think about it, I mean, we talk a lot about, in open country, but Maine is not that open country, but it's what you're hunting in Maine that you're going to need a good bullet.
Yeah, you do. And to your point, when you're in the field, when you've got that, scope on target on animal, the last thing in the world you want to be worrying about is, hey, what am I actually sending down range to hit this animal? And, I'm an ammo guy, so I'm a little biased, but I tell folks all the time, I'm like, the one part of your whole setup, optic, rifle, camo, how you got there that day, binos, glassing, whatever that is, spotting scope, the one part you're sending to actually go take down that target and hit that animal, that's your bullet, right? So you got to trust your ammo and you got to know what you're doing with it. And for me, Core-Lokt tipped and having a tip projectile like this, and there's some awesome other bullets out there.
Yeah.
I mentioned Accubon, I mentioned Federal's Terminal Ascent, that are going to do a similar job, but like you need something that, hey, I'm comfy at a 50-yard shot, or I'm comfy with your abilities, if you're cool with it, at a 500-yard shot, right? So I think having ammo that can do that whole range is just one less thing to worry about.
Yeah. And I think guys don't often research. They see, and a lot of times it's, word of mouth. And that's one reason why I think the original like Core-Lokt, that's how it became so popular, because it was just a staple. Everyone knows it works.
Totally.
And now you're getting a little bit of lanyap, as the Cajuners down here would call it. You're getting a little bit more. And I think that little bit more is, Core-Lokt is accurate. It's accurate.
For sure. Yeah.
But you're getting a little bit more downrange performance, just a little bit more.
You're getting more downrange performance. So the BCs are better. Therefore the accuracy is better. It's going to fly straighter, shoot flatter. And then you're also getting, I think we've all seen some of the research and the data for the last couple of years on what a tip projectile really does for you. So when that Core-Lokt bullet hits the side of that antelope or that elk or that muley or that moose, that tip is going to shear off, right? And then allow that cavity inside the bullet to fill with fluid and help expand it, right? Help make that good mushroom. And as we know, right, Core-Lokt is the deadliest mushroom in the woods, and Core-Lokt tipped is just as deadly, if not deadlier, right? Because you've got that polymer tip, that synthetic tip coming off, you got fluid coming in, and this is the test right here. This is the first season Core-Lokt tip's going to be out in the wild. And so far so good. It's cool to hear stories like yours where
I will tell you, it is one of I didn't pull the trigger, so you can't thank me. It's all Ryan. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
He did a fantastic job, and he really did. He's a great shot. I think we all know that. But the interesting thing about this antelope is that it was slightly quartering. I want to say it was slightly quartering 2. If I remember correctly, it was slightly quartering 2, because I remember the shot angle, because I was like, he's not perfectly broadside, but he is slightly quartering 2, just a touch.
Yeah.
Just a touch. And, I'm not hesitant. I would have taken the same shot. But so he shot, and the projectile, the Core-Lokt tip went in, and I'm telling you, it blew through the shoulder, the backside of the shoulder, and went through and just decimated everything. We didn't recover the bullet, which I was a little bit disappointed, but after seeing the terminal effects of it, I didn't mind.
Well, and that's the most important thing, right? Get the animal on the ground. Let's not wound it. Let's be done with it. And so that's exciting to see that it worked. And Ryan, good shot placement, right? Number one thing you want to do right there. So good for him.
Yeah. He, the antelope ran, I think it went like 2 feet, and that was a vertical fall, which that's what you want. Yeah. And I'm sure that Maine moose was probably the same. Those things are so massive. They run a little bit, but not much.
Oh, for sure. No, and I haven't heard the whole story about the moose yet, but my friend that was out there with Core-Lokt tipped, he was shooting 300 Wesson, and that big of a cartridge, that big of a caliber, like it's gonna do the job too.
Oh yeah, it's gonna do the job for sure. And then
you had the classic 270 win that you guys got with. Okay.
I was so happy to shoot that. And that was the first big game animal that Ryan had shot with the 270. And cool. I was on board to shoot my first big game animal, but it didn't happen. We can talk about that here in a second. But the next guy, he hadn't shot one with a 270 either. And so there were 3 guys lined up to shoot their first big game animal with a 270.
That's so cool.
But the other antelope, it was 105 yards out. We just did a good job stalking this one. But when he shot it, I kid you not, it was the perfect shot. The antelope was already kind of on edge because they kind of saw us when I was like, hey, you need to shoot this thing right when we stand up. Like, he's going to be there.
Get up.
So you cannot hesitate. And he kind of hesitated a little bit. And when he pressed the trigger off, man, the thing ran about 10 yards, dumped over. And that's another, this is just popping into my mind. But I had it in some notes when I was going to talk to you about it. A lot of folks don't understand the importance of good bullets on public land. What do I mean by that? Here's a scary fact. If you shoot an animal on public ground and that animal happens to run onto private ground, now you got an issue because you don't want to trespass, because a criminally trespassing is far different than game and fish trespassing.
Totally. Yep.
Completely different.
You got to know your state regs, right? And where you're hunting. And depending on, I know some states have like, game recovery laws where, okay, no, you can't hunt private land, but if you shoot, wound, or kill an animal, can you go recover your game?
Right.
Some places will let you do that. Some won't. I'm not sure where you guys were hunting. Were you able to go pick up a wounded animal like that? No,
You would have to contact the landowner, and the landowner would have to give you permission. The problem with hunting next to these properties, that animal runs over there. You may not ever see that animal again. And it could be 5 feet over the line,
right?
Because it is up to that landowner, and landowners out there are very hard to get a hold of. They're all these big, farms, big ranches. But a quick story on that. So it was Ryan, myself, and his buddy driving down the road looking for public land to be able to hunt on.
Okay.
Oh, of course, we see some antelope, and there's a car. I kid you not, it was like a Sentra. It was like you might as well be hunting in a Lexus or something like that. Like, that's what it was. It wasn't like a truck or a Suburban.
Out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like he's like, yeah, just come with me. So it was an older gentleman. He was hunting further than the right of way, so he was correct. The antelope was, I think, and I mean, we're sitting there watching. I'm like, Ryan, he's going to shoot that antelope. Like, we need to watch this shot. And his buddy was in there watching, from the car.
Yeah.
And we're driving by. He shoots this antelope. The antelope falls down, gets back up, and then the rodeo started. Because I told Ryan, I was like, that antelope is right, if not over the line. He was right on the line. Like, I mean, if it was on this side of the line, like, I wouldn't have given it 10 yards. I probably wouldn't have taken the shot. So anyway, this antelope gets back up, and then it's seriously a rodeo. This guy starts slinging lead at this thing.
Oh man.
It's his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
just flying down range.
Yeah. And I'm like, Ryan, he's missing every shot, because now he's in our rear view, because we drove right by. We were trying not to disturb him and stop and get the antelope boogered. And we were just, drive on by, and he's slinging lead, man. I mean, he's tossing it down range.
How many shots do you think he took, KJ?
I would say he took all 5 in his mag.
Okay. Wow.
And then I bet he went to go reload, because then this antelope runs directly away, and it's hit, but not good.
Sure. Yeah.
It knocked him down. Not good. He had an opportunity in the time that he probably thought, okay, it fell down, I'm good. He had an opportunity to finish the antelope off quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't take it. So now, and I don't know what he was shooting. I have no idea. But I do know if your ballistics aren't right and the bullet you are shooting is off, taking a shot like that is extremely dangerous.
It really is. I mean, for the animal, for the sake of your tag, right? I mean, for liability, like we just talked about, you don't want that animal running onto some ground where you can't go grab them at. And we were talking before the show a little bit about my sporting clays woes. And we were saying like, look, if you've got $1,000, you're better off going to buy a $200 rifle, $100 scope, and $700 worth of ammo. You're going to be way better, if my math's right, than spending $1,000 on a rifle, right? Just because like, man, shot placement's so key, and you got to trust your setup. And that poor guy, I mean, we know like that stuff happens to us as hunters, right? Like you're going to have a wounded animal, but everything you can do in your power, man.
Exactly. Do it. Like that's what you got to do. Yeah. Hey, Joel, I'm going to step right in here. We're going to hear a word from our great sponsors, and then we're going to jump right back into it. Gun Talk Hunt is brought to you by Remington Ammunition. So since 1939, hunters have relied on the deadliest mushroom in the woods. Well, the deadliest mushroom in the woods has all of a sudden gained a little momentum. It's gotten a little bit sleeker, and now it's more deadly than ever with Remington's Core-Lokt tipped. And we're talking about it today here on the podcast, and it's something else. We took it out and ran it through some Antelope, and what a fine performing bullet it is. But Core-Lokt and Core-Lokt tipped are available in a wide range of bullet weights and centerfire hunting calibers. Find out more at Remington.com. Okay, so the hearing doctors over at Tetra, they came up with this really cool new set of hearing devices for hunters, and even birders could use this to pick up the sounds of birds better. And if you're a turkey hunter, this is going to be very important for you because you can hear those very faint gobbles in the distance. But it's actually really cool. And while you're on the range, it keeps those gunshot blasts at safe hearing decibel levels. But you can hear the natural environment around you. You can hear everybody around you, but it cuts out that harsh sound of gunfire when it matters most. So visit tetrahearing.com and use the code GUNTALK at checkout for 15% off. That's a heck of a deal. Since 1947, a passion for shooting and hunting has driven the product innovation over at Hodgdon Powder Company. They are, and I kid you not, they are the largest U.S. supplier of smokeless, black powder, and black powder substitute propellants across the globe. I mean, these guys are pumping it out. But if you're new to reloading, and honestly, if you're a seasoned reloader, you have done this, you've got to visit their Hodgdon Reloading Center. This tells you all the data that you need to know, but the Hodgdon Reloading Data Center can be found over at hodgdonreloading.com. Highly encourage you to check it out. And the last one, which is a really cool one, which I'm waiting any minute now, it's going to get delivered to my door. But did you know that you could actually have a silencer delivered right to your door? So you don't have to go into a gun shop, or you don't have to go to a police station to get your fingerprints, or you don't have to worry about a lawyer for your trust. You see what they're doing here? They're making it easy for you all online at silencercentral.com. So what you do is you go on there and select maybe one of their Banish suppressors. I'm waiting on the Banish 30. And so what you do is you go on, you fill out all the information. They send you your packet. You fill it out. You do the fingerprints by yourself. You send it in, and you wait for that magical Banish 30 to show up to your door. It's as easy as that. You got to go check them out. But if you're interested in learning more about this and selecting your own Banish suppressor, visit silencercentral.com. Okay, we're back. We're talking with Joel Hodgdon of Remington Ammunition. And kind of for this last segment, I want to really focus on, we've been talking about Remington's new Core-Lokt tipped and the effectiveness of it. And we took it out big game hunting for antelope in Wyoming. Amazing. It worked phenomenal.
Awesome.
I am going to share the story real quick with Joel and you guys about why I went home tagless, or I didn't go home. I still had my tag with me. I blanked.
Cool. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and we're shooting a Benelli Lupo in the Core-Lokt tipped, 270. And I see an antelope. I jump over, hop in the fence. I know right where they're at. And I start looking at my map, because that's one thing. And Joel, I know you've had to deal with this. Like, your map is your lifeline. Like, that's essentially it's your get out of jail free card.
Oh,
because
especially out west. Yeah.
It's because some of these like slivers of land or could be landlocked, or there's different access points for them. But this goat happened to be 100% on public. He was in a sliver. And if I could cut the angle on him, it would be easy. I would shoot him. One, he was close to drag. Like, I wouldn't have had a big drag job. Nice. But so I worked my way around, and the angle had me shooting back towards the road.
Oh,
so I was like, I can't do it. I was like, in good conscience. And the antelopes, right? The antelopes started working their way out. So I was like, as much as I know I can make that shot, because it was only like a 75, 80 yard shot. As much as, and it's so hard to call yourself off that, because you're like, it's easy.
Well, it's easy. And you're rationalizing. You're like, I'm out here in BFE. I haven't seen the car in 6 hours. Like, what are the odds? But I mean, my luck is as soon as I shoot, like there'd be 6 cars coming. And
yep. Oh yeah. And that's where my mind was at.
Totally.
So I backtrack, and I'm like, and I'm sitting here watching my phone. Like, I mean, I'm watching it and I'm going, okay, nope. Okay, he's on. And I was like, I'm on. And all of a sudden he makes his way out, and I've cut the angle to where I have a safe shot. Like, that's the number one, is the shot safe. And then I start looking at it closer, and I go, man, I was like, I know my crosshairs are on him. And I mean,
yeah, you're
he's
set,
standing there, and it's just, I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect. I've got a good rest. I feel solid. And I go, he's on, but it's by feet. And so,
yeah. Ugh.
And so I go, and I look to Darren, a guy who listens to the show, actually came out and hunted with us, which was so cool.
Awesome.
But I was sitting there, and I would go, I was like, I can't.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, Darren. I'm going to have to wait till he needs to make it 10 more yards. I was like, and of course he didn't. And that's kind of how I went home empty handed, and I'm okay with it. Surprisingly.
Hey, you were in your stripes when you guys went out, did a DIY, right? On public ground, and came back with what, 4 or 5?
We came back with 6.
Six.
Like, I was, like I said, I was the old lone soldier out there coming home empty handed, but I spent a lot of time guiding the other guys. So I felt like I got to hunt every hunt.
Yeah, no,
which was great.
It, for sure. And now you just got to hope your buddies are nice enough to share some of the proceeds, right?
I'm not even worried about that. I hope they all get to enjoy it, and hope they get to enjoy it with their families. And that's 100% the best. So Joel, I want to talk to you a little bit about public land hunting, and because I know you've done a fair amount of it, whether that's birds or that's big game.
Yeah.
What advice would you give these guys heading out in the field, over the next few months? Because it's hunting season right now. We recorded this sucker on October 1st. That is opening day of archery, pretty much across the United States.
Season's here for sure. Yeah. Well, the first thing I'd say is, sorry, you're already a little late. Right. And, and I need to take my own advice, because I'm so bad about this, but like if you want to get out west and hunt some public ground, like the first thing you got to do is kind of start your research. Right. Yeah. And honestly, end of this season, December, January, you're cooped up in the house. You want to get away from your in-laws at Christmas, hop on the computer, hop on the iPhone, and start doing some research, figure out where you want to go, what tags to put in for, and where you're going to have the best success. And sometimes, the other thing I'd say is that sounds like a a lot of work and a burden, and you don't know where to go or how to do it. But there's all kinds of great resources out there.
Yeah.
Whether that's OnX or another piece of software, right? It's going to help you figure out where you want to go. Whether that's blogs or articles on Gun Talk, right? On Remington.com. There's great resources for you guys. So I'd say just do your due diligence and you'll make it happen. I mean, KJ, you guys went out and you guys had an awesome hunt, and you do this, sounds like every year, right?
Yeah, I've done it. This was my 8th year of doing this hunt. And I will tell you this, the first year was a bunch of miscues and a bunch of mistakes. Because you're learning a new area, you're learning a different way to hunt. But I think you're spot on. I think it's doing the research and just doing it. Like, you're going to make mistakes on the first go around. Like, but once you do it once, you're set. Then you can navigate anything. And
it's, I mean, nothing wrong. Like, if you got a buddy with some private ground, or you got the money to pay for an awesome tag, good for you. I'm so happy. That is awesome. And I've done that. Like, that stuff's great too, for sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can go out, do your research, get it done on your own, that's so satisfying. And, you know, for me, like cause I'm a reloader, and when I put together my own hand load and I use the bullet, the brass, the powder, the primer that I threw together, that I researched, ran through my rifle, had fun with, and then that round that I did all this work on takes down an animal, there's something really rewarding about that. Right. So, I would say, like, try the DIY thing out and give it a go, and you're going to have a good time either way. Bring your buddies.
Yep. I 100% agree. Now, Joel Hodgdon, thank you for joining us. Give us all the information we need to know on where to find out more about Remington's new Core-Lokt tipped.
Yes, for sure, KJ. Well, thanks for having me, man. I love talking hunting anytime.
Anytime.
Call me day, night, whatever. But no, Remington.com, I'd say, is your best spot to go for more info on Core-Lokt tipped and all of our ammo. And we've been saying it all year, but Big Green is back, right? I mean, we are making tons and tons of ammo. And I know that that's frustrating when you can't find your favorite load, your favorite box on counter. But guys, our whole workforce is working really hard to get you that stuff for this fall. So check out our website, check out Core-Lokt tipped. And hey, if you're happy with Core-Lokt, we're still making plenty of that too. So I need to switch unless you want to try something different.
100%. The deadliest mushroom in the woods has just gotten deadlier. I don't know how that's even possible, but the folks at Remington did it with their Core-Lokt tip. Joel Hodgdon, thank you. And Gun Talk Hunt fans, if you're out there, if you have questions about this or anything hunting, give me a shout. KJ@guntalk.com. I'm happy to walk you through it. I'm happy to help you through the struggles, because I'm in the struggle bus too. So you guys keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.